Kaikai Kicker tonight. My thoughts go out to fellow Kenyans living in the northern half of the country. Some of them currently grappling with the deadly activities of bandits, while others struggle with cross-border acts of terrorism. In a Gazette notice dated 13th of February this year, that's just over 2 weeks ago, Interior Cabinet Secretary Professor Kindiki Kithure declared certain areas in 6 counties as, quote, disturbed and dangerous. The counties listed in the Gazette notice included Turkana, West Pokot, Elgeyo Marakwet, Samburu, Laikipia, and Baringo. The gazettement of these areas as disturbed and dangerous paved the way for the deployment of security personnel that include units of the Kenya Police, assisted by the Kenya Defence Forces, KDF, for an operation aimed at ending bandit attacks in those areas. That security operation is yet to begin, according to sources, and what has instead been witnessed so far is the mobilization of both personnel and equipment, meaning the operation is still at the logistics phase. Now, ending banditry in Kenya's north should indeed be the earnest desire of every peace-loving and law and order respecting Kenyan. For the thousands of innocent people that are daily victims of the marauding bandits, the security operation to flush out the attackers is without a strand of doubt in their best interest. But the activities in the north, be they around the security operation or indeed the bandit attacks themselves, should prick our collective conscience as Kenyans so that we can finally confront certain rarely spoken realities about our national framework. The first ugly reality we must face is that of the persistent perception of two Kenyas, one that lies endowed, wealthy, and happy in the south, and one that lies desolate, angry, unhappy, dry, and marginalized in the north. This perception is as old as the concept of Kenya as a nation itself is. From colonial times right through our nearly 6 decades of independence, Kenya has unofficially been a two-in-one nation. Any Kenyan, be it a local, a civil servant, or business person living in the north, right now would understand when one says or when you utter the words, down Kenya. This is the name the northern part of the country is reserved for the lower developed half of Kenya that includes Nairobi. They call it down Kenya. And they do not mean it in complimentary terms. Across decades, nearly the entire northern half of Kenya has been regarded as disturbed and dangerous. It has always just been a question of the scale. While the 6 listed North Rift counties have been grappling with cattle rustlers, the northeastern region has been enduring sophisticated terror attacks. In Garissa, Wajir, and Mandera, riding a government car, and especially a police vehicle, can be walking around with a death sentence. In the past 1 month alone, terrorists have planted explosives on roads in the northeastern region, and several policemen have been killed by these landmine-scale explosives. Though not gazetted, that region too is not any less disturbed or indeed any less dangerous. Across decades again, the northern half of the country has been considered a punishment spot, Kenya's own Siberia. From the police to regional administration and other government agencies, a posting to the north was considered and used as a punishment. A troublesome police constable would, for example, be thrown to those areas as a disciplinary measure. A government officer that has differed with their boss could also end up being posted to the northern half, not to serve fellow Kenyans, but to serve as a lesson to others who dared displease the powers that be. Is it a wonder then that Kenyans living in those areas formed the impression that they're not really Kenyans? Now, let us fight banditry and terrorism in the north, but it is also time to confront the nagging question of belonging. Successive governments have been half-hearted in dedicating the necessary means to change the north. Access to education and infrastructure was for many years very limited. The Constitution of Kenya 2010 introduced devolution as a means to end the economic marginalization. But the lure of wealth and prosperity of down Kenya has been too tempting for some elected leaders of the north who end up contributing rather dramatic statistics to the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, EACC. Nevertheless, Kenyans must find a formula to making the country one geographic, economic, and social entity again. The north should be integrated with the rest of Kenya through a network of roads, railways, and even airports, as indeed conceived in the Lapset Corridor project. It is not enough to deploy security personnel and military equipment on northbound convoys from down Kenya. It is time the Kenyanness question is addressed to. That is my kicker.